One of the most important questions we get is, how much does it cost to travel the world full-time? Maybe you want to travel abroad for a few months a year, or maybe you're considering full-time travel as a way of life. Today we're going to talk about 3 different travel budgets and the buying power of each.
Over the past 3 years, we have visited over 100 countries, so we know how to travel, and we have lots of experience in both high-cost areas as well as low-cost ones. Our goal is to encourage all types of travel, so no matter your budget, get out there and explore.
We're John and Beth, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
We're heading to China, Japan, South Korea, and Alaska this spring, and Europe and South America in the fall. If you wonder where we are as we travel the world, we keep our location updated on Instagram. We also have a travel community on Facebook where people are coming together to talk all things travel, so join us there. We also have a newsletter.
Today we're going to talk in terms of cost per couple. To explain a range of travel, we're going to cover 3 price points, a $3,000, $6,000, and a $10,000 a month budget. Now, many people don't understand what these budgets buy you, so we're going to talk about them. Now, of course, some people spend less and some more, but most people fall within these categories as far as we can tell. We've used many different travelers' published budgets and their own admissions to the level of activity, but we've also included our own experience.
Let's start with the $36,000 yearly budget. Now, most people never dream that they can travel the world on $3,000 a month, and the truth is, this is a very small budget for most world travelers. But the fact is, many people find a way to make it work.
The best way to make this budget work is to slow travel. Now, there is a growing movement of slow travelers whose aim is to live a simple yet nice life abroad. For many of them, they do not consider themselves tourists, but closer to an expat. They don't have a big tourist agenda, but many of them find a way to make their experience rich. Because they've earned their money in a high-paying country and they spend it in a low, they stretch their money and live a good life.
Many people confuse this style of travel with active travel like we do, and there's a big difference. Unless they remain in a low-cost country all the time, this is a very tight budget without a lot of wiggle room. We've seen couples move quicker, and this adds to their budget, restricting their ability to pay for a lot of travel extras. In high-cost locations, museum tickets, excursions, and activities are often outside of their reach. Instead, they enjoy lots of walks, maybe a drink out, and an infrequent splurge.
To live well without feeling like their budget is too tight, many slow travelers focus on low-cost locations, and these can include Eastern Europe like Poland, the Balkan countries like Albania, and Southeast Asia like Vietnam or Thailand. Turkey is also popular, as is Central and South America. If they travel to a high-cost country, it severely cuts into their travel funds.
First, this budget only includes a couple of flights back and forth to the States, always in economy and always the cheapest they can find. It might include a passage on a transoceanic repositioning cruise as well, if they can find a deal.
Popping in and out of countries can be expensive, but traveling regionally is the answer. In 1 year, they might pick 2 regions of the world and keep their travel central to those locations. So, for example, they might pick Southeast Asia and visit Vietnam and Thailand, and in the second half of the year, head to Eastern Europe for Hungary and Romania.
Now, once in these locations, they walk a lot and take public transportation when needed. The most economical way to move to a new location is to take buses and second-class train tickets. They might be able to afford a domestic flight on a budget airline when traveling in a region.
Since the goal of slow travel is to live as cheaply as possible, many of these travelers try to hit the most popular mid-range areas during the shoulder season and not during the peak travel seasons when prices are at their highest. Many slow travelers take advantage of short-term rentals that can last up to 4 weeks at a time, so they can take advantage of the offered discount for longer stays.
Now, they rarely live in traditional hotels and instead seek a stay that includes a kitchen and laundry. Most slow travelers' plan includes cooking most of their meals. A popular way for them to stretch their budget is to incorporate house sitting. Many return home to visit family for several months a year to make their money last and stay connected to their loved ones.
So let's talk about what you get if you double that budget to $6,000 a month. Many people might assume that you get a lot more, and while you do get a few more extras, you don't get as much as you might think. Of course, being a slow traveler with this budget buys a lot of travel experiences like excursions, dining out, and museum entries. This plan might allow for more frequent moving and also include some hotels. It will also include a few more items like a couple of visits to high-cost countries. This budget would still necessitate spending most of your time in low-cost countries.
We call ourselves active travelers because we take in everything a tourist would enjoy: museums, excursions, special events like dinner shows, and much more. We think $72,000 a year is really a budget amount for an active traveler. The previous slow travel basic budget of $3,000 can accommodate a change in country without many activities, but this budget of $6,000 is more realistic for a budget traveler who wants to experience more than a simple life abroad. This is the base figure for an active traveler who is doing and seeing.
So, the average cost of this amount is $200 a day for a couple. When we're in low-cost countries, this is a nice budget, but not if we go to a high-cost country. In a low-cost country, you can easily be active travelers on this budget and enjoy everything a low-cost country has to offer.
Like we said, a $72,000 yearly budget, which gets you into some high-cost countries, but you must still slow travel in terms of eating out infrequently, cooking at home, and not taking in a lot of excursions and the like. For example, the average hotel in Dublin, Ireland in high season, which is summer, is almost $300 a night. Now, this is common in Northern Europe. So thinking that you can live lavishly on $72,000 a year as an active traveler staying in hotels is not the case. You can live very well in a low-cost country, but not in a high-cost one.
In order to make this price point work, you'll need to think of the slow travel lifestyle in a low-cost country and popping into high-cost countries occasionally and staying for shorter durations. With this budget, you can still move a little faster if you stay in low-cost regions. If you're planning to travel for many months in high-cost countries like the UK, New Zealand, Denmark, Australia, and the US, you will need a higher budget. $200 a day is not enough for those regions when you add in excursions and other fun experiences.
If you have a budget of $10,000 a month, you can spend $333 a day. This is a much more comfortable travel budget, but it also has its limitations. If you plan to stay only in high-cost places, you will be limited on what you can spend on excursions and dining out. It is still not a realistic budget in these places for any length of time.
Like Dublin, other countries like Switzerland, Singapore, Norway, and many other places have hotels that can average over $300 a night. Along with these high-cost hotel rates, dining out is also expensive, and taking part in activities is also expensive. For a budget like this, if you add in low-cost countries, you could also add in some extra perks.
Now, in these countries, you can upgrade your total experience. The addition of low-cost countries also enables you to have money left to add in a luxury cruise or an expensive train journey or perhaps a safari. You could even add in business class flights if you can find bargains. If your goal is to only stay in high-cost countries, this budget doesn't allow for those extra expenses.
We think this is a good budget for an active traveler who wants a few luxury perks, wants to visit more popular tourist areas, enjoys dining out regularly, rents cars occasionally, but still travels to low-cost regions to make up for those high-cost areas.
Let's talk about our travels. We don't call ourselves budget travelers, but rather bargain travelers. Our mission is not to live a simple life in a foreign country on an overly tight budget that doesn't allow for travel experiences. We are the healthiest we will ever be at this moment, so we want to make the most of our good years. Our budget is higher during our go-go years when we are physically able to do things. We know we will slow down eventually and our expenses will decrease, but we don't want to miss opportunities to do and see the things while we are in a particular country. Our goal is not to just say we went somewhere, it's to travel well and do things while we're there.
We stay in hotels, not short-term rentals, and we eat our meals out. We usually book hotels with a breakfast, and we only eat one more meal each day. We do add snacks as we purchase like in grocery stores and markets, or we eat at a street stall. You know, if we're in Europe, we pop into a bakery or a cheese shop, and our guilty pleasure is an ice cream cone. But more often than not, we just eat an ice cream stick that we purchase at a convenience store to cut the cost. You know, we don't drink much, but I do have a beer occasionally with a meal, or we will have, you know, a glass of wine with dinner. You know, we've enjoyed many picnics that we've created by visiting grocery stores just to save money.
We travel weekly. Sometimes we might stay longer, and sometimes if there's not a lot to see, we move on down the road. We prefer train travel, but if the distance is long, we will fly if the price is good. We try not to do that, so if a train will work, we will take it as our first choice. We've also taken buses, which we don't mind. We occasionally hire private drivers when we can't find another alternative, and we will occasionally rent a car. But because our car rental or private drivers are expensive, we avoid these as much as possible.
One of our goals is to create a travel guide for each place we go for our website. This is part of our work life. Now, we want to make it easier for people to visit the same places and know that there's quality things to do. You know, we are researching restaurants, excursions, and other activities. You know, we want you to enjoy every part of the culture, and we add some extra experiences to make this happen. You know, if we're given an opportunity to eat at a Michelin star restaurant, we might just add it occasionally. We also take advantages of, you know, of experiences that are out of the ordinary or special to a particular country. I bungee jumped in New Zealand. Yes, I was a little scared. And we rented a whisper boat in the Netherlands for a canal ride.
Which we got lost on.
And we got lost. You know, and we've even taken private cooking classes in Vietnam. And we've done some other special experiences like gondolas, and we've hired boats to get us out to a lake or a coastline. You know, we also will hire a local guide if we need to better understand the area. Besides making memories for our latter years, much of our travel is for the purpose of our website and for the guides we create.
Also, it should be noted, we're willing to pay for an expensive experience if it's something that we can't replicate on our own and we deem it important, like a cruise up the western coast of Africa. This is something we couldn't do on our own, and while the cruise was expensive, going on our own would have been too difficult. We wanted to see the West Coast, and we did. We have other cruises on our bucket list, but because of our budget, we have to space them out.
To make our dollars stretch, we also embrace many of the same aspects as slow travelers, like travel to low-cost countries. We take public transportation as much as we can, we book the cheapest rooms on cruises, and we avoid taxis as much as possible. And on a side note, if a 2-mile ride is 40 euros with a taxi, we will walk. You know, it's one of those reasons we pack so light, so that we can be light on our feet for those resistance marches.
We leverage our credit cards and transfer all of them to the World of Hyatt, where we receive many free hotel stays. We have a video on this, and we will link it below. We have instructions for transferring points on our website homepage under our Travel School series.
For us, we cut a lot of our lifestyle to make our travel dreams come to life. We sold our home and we eliminated all of our expenses. Throughout my work career, we worked hard to save and live within our means, and because of that, we're mindful of every expense we incur. To increase our travel budget, we work hard on this channel and our website so that we can earn enough money to supplement our expenses while keeping everything free for our viewers. Our hope is that one day our efforts will pay off so that most of our travels are paid for, but we're still a long way from that goal.
If you're interested in our philosophy about our experiences, here's a bit more.
First up are museum tickets. We think museums are very important to our journey because they teach us things about the culture. Some are history or natural history museums, and sometimes it's a castle or a religious site. If you're a reader of our blogs, you know that we also visit a lot of art museums. When I was in college and majoring in engineering, my goal then was just to attend the first day of art appreciation and the last, just to see if I could pass. Now, Bev, on the other hand, was an art and history major, so museums are right up her alley. I have to admit, I have learned so much tagging along with her, and I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention and attended class. So our rule is we don't skip museums, even if the tickets are pricey.
Second is local tour guides. We are independent travelers, but trying to discover everything about a place on our own is hard. Hiring a local guide can give us the needed background information that we can't discover on our own. Local guides know things that are not printed in travel books, and we've never regretted hiring a guide to show us around. We oftentimes wait until we get to a city to ask our hotel for help with a booking. They always have great guides at the ready. We feel we save money by booking in the location rather than before we travel.
Third, we love taking advantage of shows. When we travel to Paris, we go to the ballet, and when we're in Vienna, we go to the opera. Once in Bulgaria, we saw the musical Mamma Mia in Bulgaria, no less, but it was in a 2,000-year-old Roman amphitheater. The thing is, you can tour an opera house during the day, but sitting in with a grand show is quite different. Our advice is to don't skip the quirky or touristy shows either. They've been fun to watch as well, so shows must be a part of our plan.
The fourth thing that we don't skip are new experiences. We look for activities that aren't available everywhere and are indicative of the culture. We had so much fun at the World Expo in Dubai that we're off to see the one in Osaka, Japan this year. So experiences are at the top of our list and one of our favorite things about travel. Not every experience costs money though. There are many festivals that are free, and we love taking part in those too.
The fifth thing we try to take in is a great foodie experience. Now, we only eat out at expensive restaurants occasionally. When we do, we look for one that has a tasting menu. These are great to showcase in our travel guides on our website, and our readers like knowing that there's a place to go for a special meal. We also have added in, street stalls and pop-up restaurants as well.
We hope this has helped you with a realistic approach to figuring out a travel budget. We are certain we will have many naysayers who will dispute our assessment, but we have traveled full-time for several years, and we know what we've experienced, including inflation around the world. And also what our friends who are active travelers are experiencing too. If you found this information helpful, we hope you will give us a like and follow along with us here on YouTube.
We'll see you next time. Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.